Kathy and I have been driving up Highway 1 in California along the coastline, and we happened to stop at a place called the Elephant Seal Beach, which is quite a spectacle of hundreds of seals all tightly squished there into the beach, all bathing in the sun and warming themselves and taking their nap for the day. And what amazed me was how many seals were in such a little spot and how they were all just laying right next to each other, not bothered by the presence of another seal right there next to them, and just there to enjoy the sun and have their nap for the day. It reminded me of a time back when Kathy and I first got married. We moved into an apartment complex, a very large apartment complex, into our little one-bedroom apartment. And this is when I first went into the full-time practice of Christian Science. And that little apartment was my office during the day. And so I highly valued quiet time where I could just go to God in prayer and do my work. Well, as it turned out, there was no quiet time. It was very noisy in this apartment complex. We had noisy neighbors. I had a neighbor below us who, we were on the second floor, who played their stereo loud late into the night, long past after when we went to bed. And there were people that would start their stereo up early in the morning before they went to work. And there were people who played their stereo loud during the day when they went out into the yard and threw their frisbee and put their speakers out on the outside rail so they could hear their music, as far as they wanted to. Oh man, I thought, this is never going to work. I was getting really upset and angry inside myself about this. There was no quiet time. It was just noisy all the time. And I did a few human footsteps. Like I went over and talked to my neighbors, politely, and said, hey, could you turn down your stereo a bit? We're trying to sleep, at 11 or 12 at night. It didn't do any good. I went and talked to management. They just looked at me like, you're nuts. Nothing was going to happen humanly to change this very noisy situation. So I went back to my apartment. I thought, well, you know what to do, Evan. You just pray about this kind of a situation. As we learn in Christian Science, you can always do something to change your circumstances. You're never a hostage or a victim. And the key is to realize that you don't live in a material place where you're controlled by material things around you. We're really spiritual beings, children of God, living in a universe of mind, where divine mind determines our living circumstances. And that's what I needed to see better, because I wasn't feeling it at that time. So I would go into my little office there in our one-bedroom apartment and sit at my desk, and these stereos were blaring all over the place, and I just did my best to tune them out and say to myself, I live in a universe of mind. I live in an atmosphere of divine mind, of divine love, where all there is to hear and know is the presence of God, the presence of love. And all of my neighbors are spiritual ideas of God. They're all loving, kind, compassionate people who do what's in the best interest of everyone around them. There's no conflict in God's neighborhood. Everybody gets along great. Everybody supports each other, loves each other, appreciates each other, and honors each other's presence. And it took me a couple of weeks to pray this prayer and really find my peace with it. But I did. I got to the point where I was able to sit there at my desk and just do my prayerful work without being upset, angry, or disturbed by all these loud stereos all over the place around me. Basically, I got to the point where I just didn't notice them any longer. Even the thump, thump, thump coming through the floor at night, I was able to just go to sleep and just not let that bother me anymore. And so another 2 or 3 weeks go by after I found this profound peace of mind about it all. And one weekend, I realized that it was on Monday, after that weekend, it was quiet, dead quiet. And I looked around in the neighborhood, and I realized that there were 3 neighbors in particular that were responsible for all this loud noise. All of them had moved out. All 3 of them had moved out over the weekend, and the place was utter quiet. It was unbelievable, but it was believable. I said, thank you, God. Thank you, God. This is the neighborhood that I live in, this neighborhood of peace. And it stayed that way the rest of the time we lived there. There's a little stereos here and there, but nothing like that. All the big noise gone completely. Wonderful, peaceful place to live. It's proof that we're never a victim, we're never a hostage, With divine mind, all things are possible. If things aren't looking good out there, change what's going on in here until you see it from God's point of view, and then that's what you'll experience.